hurricaned him up into the air for the 1v1. Cheating. The speck flying towards the Naga's face was met with 4 slow swords crossed. James knocked them back giantly with his impact shield magic. Then sound and time seemed to be silent for 4 seconds as James closed in. 9 impact flame fist. The stored up power was waiting to be released like unbelievable and spiritually agreeing. Let it go. James hit the Naga in the left face cheek with an impact and Sound of the God Uller. A fire 9 star scolded the air and fire followed the serpent. Like hit by a god's fist 25 by 25 meters, the shockwave knocked the stone off around him and with the gravity of something unfair. Slowly the Naga descended to the ground, lifeless arms, did a somersault in the air over 9 slow seconds. The enemy was knocked out, technical KO. James already had the strength of a giant. Look at the bottom, there's treasure? We can trade the treasure from that wooden statue over there, adjacent to the next door. They could clearly see prized cups and gold, tiaras magically magnified in the bottom, golden spiked clubs and staves and giant, orbed one-handed staves. The water was minus 200 degrees, cold as space. James pulled back his foot. Strangely, the sensation was not very different from burning. It told him of damage. You still have some cave mori in you? The dwarf asked rhetorically. We need to heat up the water, said Lois. Use my stamina, Porpoise said bravely, and started breathing fire into the water. The water still got draining cold at the bottom as James lifted intentionally heavy treasure up. The heaviest
Yo,
one
what's up?
felt like sacrifice. Back and forth, he barely made it, getting the last treasure weakened like poison mercury. Yeah, obviously you're good at swimming, came the statement from Laos and a pat on the shoulder. That's the ass saber of Antioch, said Yensid. No, that's the spell steel axe chasm. It's been lost for centuries, said Hack. And Apocalypse Edge, the battle axe of kings. It was gemmed 60 times ruby and onyx across the side of the axe blade, luxurious silver steel. There's the spell steel silver-edged axe. It helps with your casting. It's got 3 useful spells. Chasm the Cleaver can teleport you wherever your eyes can see now and then, classically behind your opponent, and it can rain fiery asteroids from the sky. I'll take it and ask for no more this quest, said Gregor. Noon said anything. You can have claim on the dragon's treasure still, said Yensid. Gregor thought stupidly not to take that either. Over-honored, he said nothing. This is going to change your life. You're going to become an accountant. You make my accountant dreams come true. I will correct you until you break. No, don't do it, Yensid. I will honor this edge like all dwarves before me. Again, as far as you could see, sharply was their next gate. The cavern was profound, symmetrical, boring, and damp. There was a mechanical statue, or shop with primordial features, yet stern. We have 5 additional blood money coins. We can buy explosive punch. It's an explosive you throw at their feet. Hits with a red punch if you've blocked an attack. Let's first buy 5 and save 3 coins. Finish a fight so you don't take damage, said Porpoise. This will knock them out like getting
Never
used to,
mind.
said Oswald. 3 diamond dust and 1 moon quarter will get us the white orchard potion. It says it will nullify the first damage one takes. Doesn't work against the dragon. 20 uses. Let's buy it. It seems you are allowed to trade random items for random items. Pretty much permanent, that one. 1 moon quarter for 2 random positive effects potions and 1 green potion. Let's stack them of Porpoise. Alcohols will now
The
heal you
spice things have to go into
60%,
the wilderness, make
and
some
every
GP.
potion will now heal you 30%. When you get something useless, get something additionally useless. As they entered the next room, fire roared. Gregor barely flipped his back into the wall, and they saw the glimpse of someone pausing.
Not
It's a
risking
stock
anything
green
here.
dragon, peaceful in nature, and amongst cliffs of animals it doesn't eat. A dragon in Dragon's Nest? That was predictable. Wow, that dragon is so cute, said Daisy. The green dragons drop different things depends on where they are in the castle. It's a huge castle. The dragon head bonk is calculated as a different attacking gear. This dragon is no joke. Did we pick up any Dragon Fire resistant gear? It might have been tradable.
Don't try to go on PK, it'd be cool.
We were bound to
Michelle.
face a dragon room sooner or later. The dragon had been chained to the middle of the room, but he had lots of space and a crevice to sleep. Shoot your arrows and arbalest while I conjure a mana shield, said Yensid. The party fired in adrenaline as they thought the surefire marks would decimate. He's still standing. James stood 5 seconds in the Dragon Fire tanking and trying to finish off the dragon. Toasty, said James. Are you still there, said Porpoise. Let's re-strategize. That boy is tanky, forsooth I say. While not commonly used, green dragons are beatable with magic. Let's try this, said Yensid. Dragon roar. Yensid farted fire grand, like operas about vision. The dragon counter-breathed fire, but couldn't beat the scolding plume. It engulfed the entire dragon like destiny, so it fell to the ground yellow scolding and red, splitting in 5 seconds. Looks like it was hiding resist fire and dragon fire potions. Only 4, how ironic. The dragon also seemed to drop chocolate cake. Those aren't cheap. Might need shields and anti-fire armor anyway. They entered their first room. Although it has the veneer of a normal room's, question mark rooms are very modifiable, a narrative of random directions. This one seemed to be a shop selling one thing. This pocket watch will heal 2 guys up to full-facing bosses and increase their damage of 100%, but will also downgrade one person's life to 20%. The small man was balding and dark-haired, wide lips and broad nose. You expect us to pay for a double-edged sword? Overall, it is a plus, he said, ready a little bit to refute in logic. We risk someone dying, and that is permanent. We'll just heal you up at the start of the fight. How much? Said Clement Gregarious. It is half off 1 diamond dust because of your boons. We'll take it. Porpoise said, Encounters said that random events will be more positive in rooms now. In the next room, there seemed to be a swath of twats. This is also a question mark room. Don't encourage them and anger them. Answer neutrally to their questions, and we shall be fine. The twats started flapping his wings. They were trying to make each other speak without their terrible accents. It's chicken, not chicken. When you say, I'm gone in the shop, Ken, I'm going to the shop now. No one understands what you mean. Yeah, they do. Don't drop the H at every word. Time being so relative, they exit being old in one place, but are young still. I lived out an entire lifetime there. At least you weren't stuck in the James Woods. The next gate creaked from gears. It's just a hole, like a chimney inside. I can see the end about 20 meters down, said the cleric. Daisy spoke Elvish and conjured a huge tree root for them to slide down. James thought he could just press his muscular award-winning back into it. James was first down. It was a cross room of white iron brightly lit. It felt strategic. A minotaur. You readers know how a minotaur looks like. James put this shield down rigid as mountain, but the battle axe minotaur knocked him 5 meters back into the air anyway. In a movie, they would probably have used strings, pulling you up and back. Laos and Wizard, Yensid came down and started scorching the Minotaur with lightning bolt superior. The Minotaur had no defense against this spell and range. After getting blocked and blocked again by new ice walls and bone prisons, soon its black flesh smoked and roaring like a bull, he fell over with its cow's tongue out, unable to close the distance. Smack Asterisk, the many boots, said to the stone, clumsily. Is that everyone? We go north still, Seth Oswald. Once they stepped on the final tile, the cross raised and rotated 90 degrees left. Dust and barrel smashed. West is fine too. At least we didn't trigger the sorcerer's curse. It will rotate all rooms 270 degrees, random directions. If it makes us stuck, we're stuck. They entered a room with dead adventurers. Merrily around a circular wooden table, they sat dead. The dead partying, or at least conversing as a group. Etched in the wall was, "We can't get out, the wild wind blows." The room had 2 exits. One rotation had given them at least another way. The wild wind is a curse you don't want to trigger that kills your team, sucking the life out like sand. Ranger hat, crowns, and butcher's coif sat on different heads, differentiating the corpses. "We will honor your quest as we take your stuff," James said. They had silver and gold jewelry, some gem swords, diamonds, 1 staff. Daggers were distributed evenly. Porpoise healed from a random potion they had. "Lose 5% of your max health," said the potion. Gregor carefully pulled every gold tooth out of a gray, wide-bearded dwarf skeleton. "Honorable as Satan reading the Bible," Laoes said. The cleric smacked Laoes in the face with his Bible. Oswald didn't seem dishonored or discouraged and said, "We'll go east, at least it isn't south. We came from the south entrance, remember?" They ventured into a pie chart room with a stone
Gonna be cool,
curtain
right? Enjoy
slowly
the
raising.
content.
A voice said, "You have entered the orc room. Your best warrior is banished into hell with all but his worst weapon." Orcs crawled underneath the curtain as it raised, began throatily orc mannerless cursing. They came with arbalest and butcher's coif with onyx glasses, pikes and lance. Heavy ballista were rolled out with orcish intents. Steel met iron as fate collided, a dance of orc anger, succulent whirlwind and savagery. James was banished next to a 5 by 5 meter, circular, Greek-looking stone temple. Around him was black and brown dirt
They
with
didn't
no
attack me
end in
yet.
any
Maybe
direction
I'm
James
fine.
could see. Orcs far distributed came running instantly to the temple. "Defend the temple. Don't leave the temple." James had no weapon but his right fist and his discus of weakening. Wasn't that bad a weapon, he thought in a good mood. It's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. He put on some AC/DC on his phone and punched the first orc like a frying pan. His leg shot up and leather
he's
boots
gone.
flew off. He ricocheted his discus between 2 heads and punched a fiery hole through an orc chest as all 3 iron sword hooks flew into the air. From a top perspective, no one got close without getting systematically smacked. Gobsmacked. He gathered and equipped their weapons, armor until he had a full contemporary set, changing pieces into a fool's upgrading mindset. The set was different medieval colors, different steel sizes for meek orcs. He chased after people in punching whirlwind. They ran away. Several orcs were running as they forgot with their psychologically low E.Q bravery against their superior flurry. He picked up and varied weapons, balancing against their steel. He danced the dance of death and slaughtered, like a bloody biceps ballerina on his slayer task. He grabbed their weapons and shields, threw javelin, broke bows. He pierced and pummeled with sword hooks, threw 2 battle axes. It smashed like a boulder into the orc and knocked him visibly off the screen the camera was looking at. Bodies were stacking like restaurant plates. They came with siege. They shielded together. They had katanas and daggers. James fought and danced until 300 orcs were piling up. Ding, he got teleported back. "You survived," said a voice like death or a wizard thrilled. No one was fighting in this room anymore. The battlefield was filled with teeth heads and helmets and colored blood.
Today seems like a pointless day to follow the diet. Seems pointless to exercise. But I should do it. Having a miserable limbo time today. But at least it's gone to 3 p.m. soon and I haven't really eaten anything, so it's gonna be easy to stick to the diet if I do that, yeah. I don't want to get up today, I just want to stay in bed all day. kind of did.
No one was fighting in this room anymore. The battlefield was filled with teeth heads and helmets and colored blood. He went into another corridor and jogged perceptively. He could hear Yensid's farts like a guiding star. He punched through the wall with impact magic thrice. There was his team. "We had a hard time without you. Where were you?" said Inquisitor Clement. Yensid started screaming like a chicken sat on the floor and laid an egg. "What's in the egg?" "What if it has explosives?" The egg had explosives in it that destroyed the first layer of the walls in the room and knocked the party in different directions. "Do you want to know what kind of organic metals I have eaten?" The party had to recover from this, and they started chatting angrily about wisdom and religion and Yensid and everything they had kept in their better tolerant selves.
You need to report it for
Walk on
saying
the
that,
path
but
of
they're
God
really
as much as
uncool,
wisdom.
disrespectful.
Live right, care for your soul. Taxation is theft.
Pretend everything
That
is
kind of
fine and
walking is a
stream.
form of wisdom. There is no proof of God, Clement, the cement. What if you're wrong? What if you wasted your life? You are not a holy man, Yensid, but if you dare find signs of God's, you will. What if God is dead and we are worshipping someone killed? Said Yensid in a compromise. Bwok bwok. Just as things had turned to normal, Yensid was going to lay another egg. "No, you don't, lad. Keep that stuff in." Hack bent Yensid over and pushed onto his buttocks. Yensid started farting. "Arg. Your wizard is a liability," said Oswald. "His ass is powerful," said James. "Survival of the fittest." "You're talking nonsense," countered Yensid. "Every day, I don't know if I'm going to be hurt or safe." "Your bums ot the winday." Saying it in Scottish doesn't make it true, Yensid. "Propane." That is not an answer, Yensid. "You lost your sense of taste in the military?" "No, I lost my sense of direction." The next room seemed strange. There was tourney grounds, it seems, half dirt, half stone. It lit up as they drew nearer, for stages for duels, and there was the ghosts of slain dragons' nest raids. They sat in their armor, giant shoulder plates in gray and transparent black. Black elves sat, as often, gathering more height. Safely up back, they were the population, and they were the tolerated trickster. They laughed insanely and seemed not like the newcomers were anything but mirages. 5 black knights, stationed of hellish horse beasts with several horns and spikes, white heads half alive and mouths dead. The knights were fully armored, convincingly black, and had glowing yellow slits for eyes, large and oversized visors, gigantic shoulder plates, rounded. The armor was gleaming from roundness and the abyss blackness. "Let's go, men." James equipped his shield in his left hand. He walked menacingly as the first knight began jousting. Fire laid in the wake as they sped up blazing. With speed technique, James strafed and took the pole of the jousting knight. He pulled him off his horse and smacked his head into the dirt. The party engaged with battle cry. The knight fought with skill and agility. He had pulled a warhammer from his belt. James started throwing warhammers thrice, and a discus had hit the knight and he wasn't as intimidating flying back. 2 fiery battle axes, addled with magic, hit the knight in the shoulders, lodging stuck. "Don't destroy that, I need it back," said James. The Black Knight was hard to interpret in silence. An impact warhammer ricocheted. He seemed immune to impact magic. No matter. James punched him in the stomach and up into the air, then kicked him in the head as he was going down. The horse went back practiced to its owner, both eerie in silence and death hollow, communicating with dead wavelengths. A flail came flying and barely missed James' dodging cheek. It could expand by its chain by 15 meters.
Man, I
Then
could
it was
go for
pulled
some
inside
takeaway right
quickly with the
now.
chain.
Some takeaway food would be
Then came a
handy.
fiery whip and extended 5 meters.
If that is
It hit
worth it,
James'
huh?
armor and started to melt it. Hot, 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 like contemporary curry. James spun out of it and jumped out of reach eventually. "That one got me before," said a night ghost, being reasonable. Better get back to my throwing strategy. Yensid, ice magic, please. Yensid shot forth a sheet of ice that shot upwards, knocking the knight back and pierced his feet. The lodged axe fell out of the knight's shoulder. James put another fiery one in there. James went for an impact uppercut that knocked thus. James threw this should be enough. The Black Knight uppercut back. James went flying. The Black Knight alternatively flailed and whipped, but agile James kept out of range. The flail spikes seemed poisoned, but James had full plate. The knight came running, and his weapons were close, but James knocked him back with a discus aimed at his throat. He went for a double warhammer throw. Confusing thus, they both dented the knight's armor. The Black Knight mixed his whip and flail in the air, and both came flying so fast James had to recalibrate thus. James did a punch into his chest. Path of the Strong Nerd. It caved in his chest plate.
I found this get a pizza.
Searching a
Found
whole
something
lifetime.
cheap finally.
Worlds colliding. Punch. Yensid, without being asked, had time for another shot of ice. This time it froze the Black Knight stuck, piercing his legs completely. James whispered ELD everlasting and went for a jumping axe throw. It whispered fire to the air and hit the knight between the eyes, searing its surroundings and cleaving his head. James went and helped his team, sneaking up behind a Black Knight and holding him with a half Nelson. Porpoise went up and put a piercing magical blade through his stomach. The knight shaked like he was being exorcised, and eyes exploded yellow explosions, smoking as he died. The cleric shot 1.5 diameter, white divine judgment beams. Half hit their targets, and seemed to have no problem blocking the Black Knight's attacks with his thick armor. Laoes had his short bow often firing magical poison arrows. One Black Knight also had a spray poison attack and explosive blowpipe. James knocked him forward by hitting a warhammer in the back. He got hit by a judgment beam, so his helm flew high off. Laoes whispered penetrating Foss Elfier, Thunder God Breager, and shot through his arm. "Can I take a look at your gun, James?" said Yensid. "I won't spend your precious future ammunition." James shot the indomitable Black Knights. "I think I will be able to get more bullets." "You're going to regret it." Tier 10, Foss El. Yensid shot eldritch bullets 2 times from the pistol. The Black Knight went down like a beast. Porpoise had been scared, but had some really good moments where he motivated himself. He had been scared enough for long enough, and he existed in it strangely motivated. Gregor had been poking frantically with his spear for 10 minutes. A flurry of jabs met by a frantic, sword-swinging knight. It was the most personality both of them showed. He disarmed the knight and hit through his head 4 times.
I watched the One Piece a live action with my father. He thought it was great. He uses his boogers and his breath as ammunition into his pistols. Turns to something more positive. It was there's 1,000 episodes of this. Yeah, that was fun.
He disarmed the knight and hit through his head 4 times. Unlimited barbarian power, dumpstered. Get 1 versus 1. A just idiot Lummox, he said, triumphant.
Season 3.
An idiot just said James. James thought about the essence of teabagging now, insanely like it's just like double
One
dipping.
season per year, one season every 2-3 years.
let out one of the most ass-shredding farts in living memory. Directed like a cone with magic and stomach muscles. In the land of the living dead, the painted skeletons all cheered. It is said, it cannot be fully known no matter how you describe it. Daisy got her nervousness and ticks back. It killed one old man laying down in his home thus, and woke his brother from the dead. The gods giveth, and the gods taketh. Somehow the dragon knew there was a battle for him. Time for him to awaken. Back to the night, yeep. The final night was dead as a doorknob. He wasn't powerful enough to raise his qualm. Pitiful. In the room, they found a cabinet hidden of gnarly cider. Awesome sugary citrusy drinks unknown in an 8-side circle with stringed cork and awesome jugs of wine known and classical. Wait, don't drink that one. I taste mercury. This would have killed you slowly. Better trust the Winnicella. This isn't anything compared to the Winnicella. It's just a little bit of respite. Jens said, how is your ass? Let's go back to the Winnicella people, they agreed in stupid communication. And so they did. Yensid summoned summer winds that blew them in the right direction. They also made camp with mattress and cooked oysters and bacon, chicken in a wrap with bacon, and James taught them how to marinate meat modernly. You know so much about meat. Why don't you use it? It is forbidden. Why did you bring a mattress? When were we going to need that? Look, I can fold it 9 times with Scottish dimension magic. Ask me for modern recipes. Did you know Italy spread their food everywhere? Many food types are global, and after England's conquest of India, the foods fuse. England an empire? 120 colonies? Yes, hopefully we weren't too rough, he thought as a contemporary Brit. They ate black sausage links, Yensid made tea, and then they soon replenished with wine and more baguette. Let me play some ass flute, said Yensid. You should let him do it. He's really good at this. His ass flute farting with a dual valve engine sounded like a Scottish bagpipe. He played classical music, and he played solos, virtuoso, and with scales. Who knows how many fingers was on the flute? James, Porpoise here, says
Oh
you're
no.
lightweight. Secretly said a drunk cleric. Who knows what he meant? No, I don't, said Porpoise. Slap him the nuts and bite him in the leg. Bodybuilder James grabbed Porpoise overhead and threw him out the room 5 meters in a silly mood. Do you want some sausage? James said to Porpoise. Here, spice up the cleric's drink. Yensid farted a flame small, but just like igniting propane. The cleric looked unbothered in the distance, it was a wall, and drank, thus he went. God, someone farted in my drink. Don't use God's name in vain, said Laos. Throw me out as well, said Daisy suspectedly. Can I come in now, said Porpoise after 2 minutes. No, said James. Someone put a keg of Bordeaux. He's afraid of good alcohol. They stapled 4 kegs of Bordeaux and Montrachet against the door. Clement opened a Wizard's Reader's Digest against the door and exclaimed, This is just like home. Laos spit the Wizard's Digest out. This tastes like a hamster dipped against itself several times in tea. Keep drinking, said Clement.
That guy.
And so they did. Parched
Was
and
that
sozzled they
sad,
were,
Shad?
missing their mouths and satisfying their spirit, cheering their earthy lineage and celebrating the contents and size of the glasses. On my head.
Let's kick that guy out.
Can I have some bacon? Said Porpoise. They gave him bacon like nothing had happened through a barrel crevice. Technically, Porpoise did do nothing. SSSSSCHSSCH,